Well, this milk is just the way I like it, nice and cold.
Well, that's because our Hot Point refrigerator keeps everything at just the right temperature.
You see, little man, 32 degrees Fahrenheit is freezing. And laboratory tests have proved that about 36 to 38 degrees is the proper temperature to maintain.
Big man, scientific mind.
Hot Point Quality Appliances presents America's favorite family comedy, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, starring the entire Nelson family, Ozzie, Harriet, David, and Ricky. Ozzie Nelson, of course, plays the part of Ozzie. And here is Harriet Nelson, who plays the part of Harriet. The older of the Nelson boys is David, played by David Nelson. And his younger brother, the irrepressible Ricky, played by Ricky Nelson. The Nelsons' next-door neighbor, Thorny, is played by Don DeVore.
You're so conceited, David.
Conceited? Who's conceited?
You are.
I am not.
Say Will Thornberry doesn't stand a chance against you.
So what? Does that make me conceited?
Well, what else do you call it?
You wouldn't understand, Half Pint.
Oh, yeah?
What the heck is going on here?
Oh, I'm sorry, Pop. Why don't you watch where you're throwing the ball, wise guy?
Well, you call him a wise guy, a smart guy.
Who you calling a smart guy, wise guy?
Oh, come on, fellas. You sound like a couple of wild men.
Oh, we aren't really mad, Pop.
You just don't know us very well.
There's an old saying, you know, blood is thicker than water. Like to see you guys on the same side just once.
David says Will Thornberry doesn't stand a chance against him.
Stop arguing. You heard, Pop. We got the same blood in us.
No wonder I'm so little. David's been using it all up.
Come on, cut it out now. That's the kind of stuff that brings on the arguments. Why'd you guys go on outside and play football if you're going to play?
Come on, let's go over and get Will.
And don't start arguing with Will either. He's a nice boy and he's our neighbor.
He's not using our blood, too, is he?
Oh, Ricky, don't be such a sap.
How can I help it? I got the same blood as you.
And don't start arguing with each other all over the neighborhood.
You won't, Pop.
Not unless you started, egghead.
Who you calling an egghead, muttonhead?
Who you calling a muttonhead, chowderhead?
And don't slam...
What'd you say, Pop?
Never mind.
What was the big argument all about?
Which one? There are about 4 going on at the same time. What have you got there?
Oh, just making some Toll House cookies. Say, before I forget it, who is Nancy Baker?
Nancy Baker? I don't know. I never heard of her. Why do you ask?
Well, she called here today.
Nancy Baker. Name doesn't mean a thing to me. Unless it could have... No, it couldn't be.
Couldn't be what?
Well, there was this girl on the bus yesterday morning, and she had these big, heavy bundles, and so I got up and gave her my seat. What's wrong with that? It seemed like the courteous thing to do.
I didn't say anything.
I know, but you're looking at me so darn funny.
What did she look like?
Well, she had brown, wavy hair and a rather nice smile and big blue eyes. Well, I don't know. I hardly noticed her. Besides, it couldn't possibly have been this girl. She doesn't even know my right or any name for that matter, let alone my phone. Maybe it was somebody calling up for a gag. You know, it could have been Thorny. He gives that wonderful impersonation of Betty Davis.
No, this is really a girl. She sounded very young and pretty, too. You sure this girl on the bus didn't worm your name and phone number out of you?
Harriet, this is ridiculous. Just because a guy shows a little courtesy to a girl on a bus?
And there were no other girls during the week?
This was the only one, unfortunately. No, honestly, Scout's honor. The only girl.
It's all right, dear. I believe you.
I wonder where this girl got my phone number. You're sure she asked for me?
No, I didn't say she asked for you. She asked for David.
David?
I just wanted to worry you a little.
Well, that's a fine trick to play on a guy.
Oh, who are you kidding? You enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, I was really living it up there for a minute, wasn't I? What did she want with David?
Well, she said something about a dance at the school next Saturday.
Dance?
She's coming over later this afternoon. I better get these cookies in the oven.
Well, just a second. Don't you think David's a little young to be taking girls to dances?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, after all, he's only 15. I didn't even start thinking about girls until I was... Well, I'm sure I didn't take any girls to dances until I was at least... It's funny David hasn't shown an interest in girls before this.
I was wondering why he hasn't mentioned his little girlfriend to me. He hasn't said a word.
Well, what's so strange about that?
Well, he usually talks things over with me.
Oh, well, you gotta face it, dear.
Face what?
Well, there comes a time when a boy stops talking things over with his mother and starts talking them over with his father.
I think you're rushing things a little.
You know, I was just thinking of something. If David's gonna have little girls phoning him and chasing after him, maybe it might be a good idea if I sort of had a little chat with him and taught him a few of the little tricks that his old dad used to use when the girls were chasing after me.
I have a feeling that this little Nancy Baker is smarter than you think. She mentioned something about Will Thornberry. I think David has a rival.
Oh, so that's what David was talking about.
What's this?
Well, a little while ago, David said something to Ricky about Will's not standing a chance against him. I never dreamed it was a girl they were talking about.
Oh, so he really is interested in her, huh? You wait till I see him.
Oh, now, Harriet, don't you start embarrassing the poor kid.
Well, after all, if he's going to start taking little girls to dances, I want to hear about it.
Will you listen to me, please? I know boys. I was one myself.
Yes, I know. Your mother told me.
Well, it's just that I know the pattern. Now, the first thing he's going to do is deny any interest in girls whatsoever. He'll claim he'd rather play football or anything.
Come on in, Thorny.
Hi, Harriet. Oh, hi. Hiya, Thorny.
Hello,
Come on
Thorny.
in, old boy.
Well, helping Harriet out in the kitchen, Oz?
No, but it's not a bad idea.
Did you come over here to make trouble, Thorny?
Sorry, Oz, it was a mean thing to say. Especially since I just ducked out of our kitchen in time myself.
Look, if you two are going loaf, you go in the other room and do it, because I got work to do here.
You know, Thorny, I have a hunch we're not wanted around here.
You know, I think you're right. You don't have to knock me over the knuckles with a wooden spoon.
So you gotta watch that Harriet. She gets pretty vicious at times. Come on in, Thorny, and have a seat.
Thanks. So, you know, Oz, I just found out a very interesting thing about my boy Will today.
Oh, what's that?
Well, this may be hard to believe, but Will has finally reached the age when he's beginning to notice girls.
Well, I've got news for you, Thorny. It seems that David has his eye on the very same little girl.
Oh, you're kidding, Oz.
No?
Well, that's not very fair to David.
Just what do you mean by that?
Well, if Will's anything like his old man, he's devastating to women. Poor little David won't stand a chance.
Oh, I'm sorry, Thorny, but I find that rather hard to believe.
Oh, really, Oz? It's too bad I'm not a braggart. Because if I were, I could tell you about all the girls who used to chase me around.
Well, plenty of girls used to chase me around, too.
I know, but the girls that chased me didn't throw rocks.
Well, I was a pretty popular guy in school, Thorny. You know, I remember once I was going steady with 3 different girls at the same time.
You know, that happened to me. But it was 4 girls.
Wait a minute, let me think for a moment. Genevieve. No, by golly, I was wrong, Thorny. It was 5 girls.
Now, just a second. Let's be honest with each other. Now, how many girls did you really go steady with?
Only one. Harriet.
That's what I thought.
And how many did you really go steady with?
7. And now my little boy is following in his dad's footsteps.
Yeah, it's really frightening the way they grow up. You know, it's hard to believe those kids will be graduating from high school in a couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah. The next thing will be college.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to realize David's going to college.
Maybe medical school for Will. He shows a definite talent for medicine.
I think David will probably go to law school. He's always been more or less interested in law. Some pretty tough courses.
We got pretty smart kids.
That's for sure.
Well, it'll be just about Will's senior year when he meets the girl. You know, the real girl. Like I met Catherine.
Yeah, it'll happen to David, too.
And then comes the wedding. Gee, they won't have very much money to start with. Will just out of medical school and all.
Oh, young people always find a way, Thorny. They'll get by, okay?
Yeah, I know, but there's no sense in the kids starting right out on their own. We got plenty of room at our house. Gee, why couldn't they spend a little time with us anyway?
Yeah, well, I'd like it for Harriet's sake. They stayed with us, and David and his wife could save their money for a home of their own.
You know, Will getting married, going to medical school, that's pretty exciting, but I understand the biggest thrill, the thing you always remember, is that first grandchild.
My first grandchild. Say, is it a little too drafty for you there?
Well, it's a little chilly, Oz.
Would you like me to get a shawl and throw it across your shoulders?
No, that's all right. I'll have to be running along anyway. I think I'll take a little nap this afternoon.
Want me to walk across the lawn with you? The grass is kind of wet. It's pretty treacherous rounding the hedge.
That's okay, Oz. Well, I'll be seeing you, old-timer. No, don't get up. I know my way around this house as if it were my own.
And that's the way I always want you to think of it, old-timer, as your second home. And I know Mother and the boys feel the same way about it.
Well, it's mighty nice of you, Oz. Of course, you know the same goes for you, too.
Well, we old-timers have to stick together. Well, goodbye, Thorny.
No, not goodbye, Oz. Just till we meet again.
David, Ricky?
Hi, Mom.
Don't go away. Lunch is practically ready, and David has to get dressed.
Get dressed? You mean dressed up?
Well, yes, you want to look nice when Nancy gets here.
Who?
Well, your little girlfriend, Nancy Baker, she phoned.
Nancy Baker phoned here?
Well, yes, dear, I thought you knew. She's coming over this afternoon.
What's the big idea?
Well, she said something about a dance at the school next Saturday.
I'm supposed to play football this afternoon.
Nancy Baker.